Hello students, welcome back. So in this lecture, we will be discussing the fantastic and fabulous world of persuasive speaking. So before we start, let's go over our objectives as always. So by the end of this lecture, I would like you to be able to define persuasive speaking, know the types of persuasive speaking, know the importance of persuasive speaking, know the types of persuasive claims, and know different types of persuasive speech organizational patterns. So, let's first of all begin with defining persuasive speaking. So, persuasive speaking is an attempt to get a person to behave in a manner or embrace a point of view related to attitudes or beliefs. So, there's two little key components to persuasive speaking. The first is to change an audience's maybe attitudes, beliefs, or values. But then there's a second component, which is to get the audience to do something, call to action, like maybe getting them to sign a petition so that there's a ban on cell phones while driving. So there's two little components, changing the behaviors and getting the audience to act on something. So, let's now look at the types of persuasive speaking. Like we discussed, the first is changing someone's attitudes, beliefs, and values. So that's the first part of this first type of persuasive speaking. Attitudes are defined as an individual's idea of something being wrong or right. Example could be, you think euthanasia is wrong. Would be an example of that. Values is individual's perception of the usefulness of something. So maybe you want to get somebody to value, let's say, honesty or respect. So you try to get them to value honesty or respect in your speech. Beliefs is another form, and that is the position that a person holds to be true or false. So maybe you write a persuasive speech to get the audience to believe that aliens do exist. And another type of persuasive speaking, like we discussed in the previous slide, is changing someone's behavior. So maybe you try to get them to vote for a particular president. Maybe you try to get them to sign a petition to change a certain law, or whatever that may be. So those are the two different types of persuasive speaking. So why is persuasive speaking so important? Well, you will be more successful at persuading others. You'll be more likely to negotiate with others. You'll be more likely to, maybe even if you're in the business world, you'll be able to better advertise and market it because you'll have a good sales pitch. Another reason is because people will become better consumers of information. And this is with any speech. When you research information, it kind of allows you to kind of become interested in that information and want more. So it allows you to consume and find other information out on a topic that you're researching or just any topic in general. And the other importance is that it's understanding how persuasion functions will allow us to have a better grasp of what happens in the world. You know, a lot of the persuasive speech that we talk about, not all of them, but a lot of them, like the issue of cell phones while driving, we talk a lot about the issues that happen in the world. So it kind of gives us a better understanding of how the world functions and how it operates, and what we can do as an audience and as a speaker to change what is happening right now in the world, to try to make a difference in the world. So, let's now look at some persuasive claims. Well, the first is definitional claims, arguing over what something is or is not. So you're arguing that something is true or is not true. Could be an example of a definitional claim. Factual claim, argue the true or falseness of a claim. Maybe the factual, like Obama is from Hawaii, you might say that could be an example of a factual claim, or whatever that may be. Something to be kind of to hold true or falseness. Policy claim is another type of claim, which is stating that the problem, and the solution that should be implemented. So it basically states the problem, what's going on, and the solution that should be used. So usually a policy is maybe changing a law or a policy, like getting a ban while getting a ban on distracted driving might be an example of a policy claim. So passive agreement is getting the audience to agree with what we are saying in our policy. So passive agreement gets the audience to agree with what we're saying, to get the audience to believe that cell phones while driving is not good and we need to create a law that bans it. Would be an example of that passive agreement. Immediate action persuades the audience. So you're just essentially in passive agreement, you're just telling the audience about it. You're not really saying, no, do this, do that. You're not really telling them to do. You're not really giving a call to action. However, with the immediate action, you're persuading the audience to engage in a specific behavior. So you're getting them to do something, get out there and go and get cell phones banned while driving. But with passive agreement, you're just simply stating it and not really expecting anything, which is like how some speech classes are. But immediate action is really what drives the force and gets the thing running. Value claims are advocating a claim about something such as it's good or bad. So maybe stating that euthanasia is bad could be a value claim. So let's look at some different organizational patterns. The first one we want to look at is the Monroe's motivational sequence. So basically what the Monroe's motivational sequence does is it helps speaker put information into a useful organizational pattern for the speech as a whole. So it basically kind of organizes the speech. The first step of the Monroe sequence is attention. Speaker gets audience attention. They get their audience attention through their introduction, through their attention getter, they pull the audience in. Maybe they say something like to explain how it's relevant to the audience, might be another way that they pull the audience in. Or maybe they say a specific, or show a specific picture, or give a specific quote, might be another way they might pull them in. The next step is need. Speaker establishes that there's a need, so that they say that there is some kind of need. There is a need for a ban for cell phones while driving would be an example of step 2 of the motivational sequence. Satisfaction is step 3. Speaker shows how their proposal can satisfy his need. So if you were to do a speech on cell phones while driving and say that a law should be created or a ban should be created, then you explain how that can be beneficial to the problem of cell phones while driving. Visualization is step 4. Speaker asks the audience to visualize the need being or not being met. So they might get the audience to believe, to see that a law banning cell phones while driving is actually helping. Or maybe even, for example, maybe you suggest having a Bluetooth or something that can allow the speaker to be allow the person to be hands-free when driving. So you might have them visualize how that can help drivers drive more safely. And then step 5 is action. Speaker asks the audience to take action, which, like I said, it persuades the audience to take action to ban cell phones while driving, or it takes action to get something to be done. Essentially what the action does. Alright, let's look at a few persuasive organizational patterns. The first is problem, cause, solution. Speaker basically decides that there's a problem. They show that there's a problem. Like cell phones while driving is a problem because so many people are getting into deadly accidents. You say what the cause of the problem is. And then you state proposed solutions. So you might say that we should do a ban, maybe we should do a life suspension. Those would be example of solutions. And there's also cause and effect solutions, sometimes where you state the cause, of cell phones while driving, the effect that it has on people, and then you give a solution. That's another type of organizational pattern for persuasive speech. And then there's also comparative advantages, comparing items and showing why one is more beneficial than the other. Why is one product beneficial than the other might be an example of the comparative advantage pattern. Okay, well that concludes our lecture for today, and thank you all so much for listening.